The Uncle Gold Podcast. And welcome back to the Uncle Gold Podcast. My name is Borna Zuber, and you're listening to the Uncle Gold Podcast. We started this as a way to give people some really interesting topics and useful tips to improve their lives, because not all of us had a really rich uncle that showed us how to get the gold in life. Neither did I, so that's why I'm kind of starting this journey. I love learning from people, and I love learning new stuff, and I think that helps not just me, but also other people. So I want to use this podcast to introduce you to people that are on the the self-development journeys and that are doing cool projects and working on cool and interesting stuff. And today I have Alexandra Božić with me here. Alexandra, welcome to the Uncle Go podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here.
It's lovely to have you here. Can you give for all the listeners here some kind of an intro to who you are and what you do and kind of how we met and kind of how this whole thing got started?
Absolutely. So I'm a Canadian expat from Toronto. I moved to Ireland about 3.5 years ago now. And when I first moved here, I started running an eco-friendly bed and breakfast. And with that being said, you connect with other individuals. And throughout that, starting the eco-friendly B&B, we also ended up going on to starting the official Killarney app. And with that, you're online, you're connecting with other individuals, other people. And I think that could have been one of the first locations sort of online that we may have met first before actually meeting physically. So starting with the official Killarney app, bringing visitors a platform of how they can navigate to Killarney and this beautiful place. And I think being also connected with the hospitality industry, we've learned that it was such a great way to provide this free platform for people to download. So that's starting off there. And I also met your partner, Dea. And with Dea, her and I have been working on my digital marketing company called The Digital Ripple. And she's been a huge asset for me, and just being able to connect with other potential clients and customers, and her experience as well has been so fundamental to growing a third business that we've started. So yeah, there's quite a few things going on in my world right now.
A lot of stuff going on. I actually love it. I love that people are doing a lot of things in their lives. And as we had this whole kind of COVID pandemic, I feel that a lot of people started doing more things at home and in their free time. And I think that's a really good change that's been happening. But before we go into all of that you're doing, tell us a little bit about the official Killarney app, because that's kind of how the story started from my side and their side. Of course, we saw it online. We're on Instagram a lot, and we just saw it, and we saw some beautiful pictures there and some great info about Killarney. And because we were exploring, we also came here to Killarney end of 2018, right? So we're still fresh and new here. So we wanted to kind of gather some info and get to know the place, and we saw it and we were like, ooh, this looks cool. That was the first one to see it, and she was following your stories a little bit, and that's kind of how the whole thing started. But tell us how the official Killarney app started and what you're kind of doing with it, and where where do you see it going in the future?
Okay. Absolutely. So we started it 3 years ago. It sort of happened together when we moved here, and also the correlation of running the B&B and the tourism industry. Obviously, 3 years ago is a very different time, and the economy and traveling Killarney itself was bringing about 1.1 million people annually, which was a huge stat. And so that was huge when we were talking to businesses about the potential of being on an online platform. Now, the idea originally came from Jonathan, who has a business and tourism background as well. And he and I were traveling in Italy, and we saw we're in a small little town, and like, hey, download this app for our beautiful little town. And we're like, he said, why don't we have this for Killarney? And I said, I agree. And then this is where the idea came to start developing one. So together, him and I spent many hours working on the back end of the official Killarney app and developing it, putting on how to get around, your attractions, where to eat, where to stay, from parking, from an ATM machine to get out your money to explore, to hidden gems, and then also components about leaving no trace, because we are nestled beside a beautiful national park. So having that respect and that responsibility of when you're going out and traveling, you're also making sure you're taking things back with you. You are being mindful of where you're going. You're not throwing your litter with, wherever you're going. And maybe you're picking up someone else's litter and just being that responsible person when you're out in nature, because this is it's a picturesque location and people come for that beauty, right? There's something about it. And that's why through our Instagram page, we've gained, it's crazy to see like the last 3 years of development of it, how it's grown. And now we're at, I think, 6K, where it was just visual platform showing travelers' adventures, retagging where they're going to eat, where they're going to hike or kayak, or any type of adventures they were doing. They would tag the official Killarney app and then reshare it. And not only that, we'd be supporting businesses. So the businesses would tell us, there's a special event going on, or there is, and it's just something that they wanted to promote. And our goal was to help promote them, right? The app was built for the businesses, is built for the town, and was built for the travelers and locals who wanted to stay connected. And ultimately that was the goal. And we're so grateful because now 3 years later, and working with businesses like, for example, the Europe Hotel and Resort, which is a 5-star beautiful hotel here in Killarney, a must-see. And it was working with them initially, one of the first partners on the app, and working with other names such as J.M. Reedy's, which is a very popular cafe and bar. And it's just this culture of having very known businesses that have this reputation to work together with a startup it was enduring, and it was just one of those things where just having their support meant a lot. Especially I was the one going out and sort of meeting them and introducing them. So when I was calling, some of the questions were like, "Are you even living in Ireland?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a Canadian expat." So I had to really build that rapport with the businesses and showing them that I was coming from a whole different perspective. I was a traveler. I was a traveler in their town, and saying, this is what I value, and this is what I see so much potential. And that's why being online and being on the app was so important for them to be on. And not only that, we do sort of promotions on the app itself and then on Instagram. So it sort of went two in one, and how we connected with them. But it's been a phenomenal journey, and I have I think a learning experience as well, because again, you're dealing with people's online presence, and you want to show them in the best interest. Mm-hmm. And it's just making those connections right and showing that we are backing them. And that's what it was about. Now, during COVID, things changed. And we decided that when we all closed down, and being in the hospitality industry and providing a service, we closed, and we were closed for about 5 months. And we realized supporting Killarney wasn't big enough. And that's when Jonathan and I said, okay, we need to transform and rebrand the app to the official Kerry App. And that's just happening now, the past couple of months, that we've just sort of trickling out the information to the businesses, connecting with the chambers around Kerry, and letting them know that we are expanding this app to, again, grow the community and grow the online platform. And we're not only building it for now, but we're building it for the future, because we know COVID is with us, but we know that if we can keep our customers informed, if we can let them know what to expect on their travels, where they're going, may it be just visitors, may it be staycationers, may it be, eventually down the line when things are safer for others to come into Ireland, or vice versa, us going out. But the case is that it's for the future, and having that online presence and clarity for your customers of where they're going to be going and what they're going to be expecting when they're coming in is so adamant and so important. So we're so excited to be rebranding to the official Kerry App. And right now it's just about just making those deeper connections with the town councils and chambers, and also the businesses that are encompassed in those things too.
Yeah. And I've seen the progress that you made. The Instagram posts just look better and better. And I feel that if you keep this up and get actually a lot more people in, that the reach will expand
Absolutely.
A lot faster. Also, I think it can go really international, because Killarney and Kerry are very famous internationally. And we get a lot of tourists here from all over the world. Like, Americans would be one of the strongest of the main locations where people are coming from, but we also get a lot of people from Germany and Spain, and a lot of other places, and I think it's just great. So I feel that it will be very useful as soon as, like, all starts are kind of slow, and everything takes time, right?
Yeah.
So if you're planning for the long term, this is just a start, and I'm sure that with time it will get to a lot more people there. How are you approaching the expansion? Like, there's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast and thinking of maybe starting their own business, or maybe they have something that they already started but they want to kind of like improve it bit by bit. What are kind of the steps that you're taking to increase the reach and everything, to make the company go bigger?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a variety of different components. Definitely the one thing you can start with is making that list. Making the list of where, what is the objective and goals? Is the goal now to build awareness of the product, of the service that you're providing? Then start saying, okay, my audience is then going to be on Instagram. If my audience is on Instagram, which for us, for the official Kerry App, it is, because it's a very visual platform, and our demographic shows that we have from 18-year-olds to 65. And this range, they're on Instagram. The 65-year-olds are maybe more so now on Facebook, but a few of them have downloaded it. Now, in terms of the main demographic that's traveling to Killarney and Kerry have been the 20s to 45s. And this, again, they're on Instagram. So when we've identified our audience is the first step, knowing where they are, because they may not even be on Instagram. They could be on Twitter. They could be on Facebook. They can be on TikTok. Right? So just having that clarity of where your target audience is first. Mm-hmm. And then saying, okay, next step is, if it's a visual platform that you, like us, we're selling the experience. We're selling coming to Killarney, coming to Kerry, going to different businesses and tasting the food and the culture and the vibrancy of what Kerry has to offer, the kingdom. Like, there's a reason why it's named the kingdom. It's magical. And so yeah, getting that clear message of saying, okay, who's the audience? What can I share that's going to give value? We are giving the tips on where to go. We say, okay, this is a hidden gem that's nestled in this beautiful town that is, it's off the beaten track, but it's well worth your time to get out there. And if you can give value, then is the next thing. Giving value to your potential customers, letting them know that you're there to give information, to give tips, to give support, is the next step. I wouldn't even talk about selling a product yet. I'd like to say, be genuine in what you're giving first. Let the person know, or the community know online, that you are here to give value, and make sure it's authentic, because there's a way of just, here's a bunch of information, but it's actually not intentional. It's not purposeful. And if you can make that intent and a purposeful intent of giving information that's going to support the person, whatever niche that you're in, then continue on this and listen back to feedback. Yeah. I think that's one thing that I love about Garyvee is he goes straight, he doesn't even look at the content. He looks at what people are saying, because that's the community. Those are the people he wants to reach, is the audience. And if you can look in those conversations of what people are talking about, what the audience is talking about, then you know what type of value to give them, what type of answers and questions that they may have, that you can then say, okay, hey, I heard this was going on. This is a tip to solve that. So being aware of what your customers and audience are saying, having that, then giving that value. So those are the sort of the steps there that I would say. And then again, taking time to delegating, okay, this is the time I'm going to set this task. So in content creation, it's always important to say, okay, Monday is this day, Tuesday is this day, Wednesday is this day, etc. Just to have that clarity. And also when you go into the week, you know what to expect. Your audience knows what to expect as well, which gives them this security and also gives them, something to look forward to. And I think we all love something to look forward to. It may be a holiday off into somewhere, because I know I'm looking forward to a holiday one day soon again. But yeah, I think having those steps in line and sort of getting that calendar prepared and ready is so important as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you plan out stuff long ahead, or are you kind of like a short-term thinker? How does it work better for you?
It varies. So personal life can be 5 years down the line. Business, again, 2 to 5 years. When it comes to content creation, I think it sort of changes in terms of what is trending, what is currently in motion. and what is being talked about. Now, what that being said, for example, we are based on information that's given to us. So for the app side, when we know, okay, business is open right now, this is information that's current. Or if we know that there's an event happening, like Halloween is coming to Kenmare, right? So if we get this information, then we can plan ahead for that. Now, again, it's a communication between both platforms to keep us informed and keep our users informed as well. So we always have, again, the component of just planning for let's say the month of October. We know this is the type of content we want to show for travel, for experiences, for current sort of events, because things do change seasonally. So being aware of that. So I do like to be prepared at least a month in advance in terms of content. Now, that's not always the case. I am a solo entrepreneur and there's many things going on in the background. And so that's usually the goal now, but you have to be flexible and you have to give yourself grace when things don't go as planned.
Of course. I feel that your app fulfills demand that's needed, because someone looking it up might not find anything if you didn't do it. That kind of reminds me, in Croatia, when I was a little bit younger during high school, we wanted to go out almost like every day, give or take. And we were looking stuff up, and you literally have to go to each page of each club or find specific Facebook groups. And there wasn't kind of like a one website where you would have all places where you can go out. Yeah. And then one guy did it, actually. He just named it like going out, and started posting like what type of music will be played in which club at which night. And the website got really popular in a very short time. So he found a need that was there and filled it. And I feel that your app is kind of doing the same thing. But I feel that stuff like that comes from observing things, and you're very observant, and you notice like there wasn't something there. And it's kind of strange that Killarney didn't have it already. It's a very touristy place.
No, for sure. I was surprised. And thankfully, I've actually been able to meet some more influential individuals and business owners who've been in Killarney for quite some time. And there actually was an app that was developed.
Okay.
The only difference that I'm aware of was the app was not free to download. And I think when you make things not free, but yet you're giving value, and for the travelers who are coming at that time, when it was a more traveler focused than a local focused app, travelers are only here for maybe 2 to 5 days in Killarney specifically. So was it really that profitable down the line? So who knows why? I don't have all the answers, but I do know there was one trying to hit the market before.
Yeah, I prefer the free model.
Yeah, again, there's other ways to monetize things, and that's just learning and experience of different ideas and different ways to go about it.
I agree. I want to take us back a little bit to the start how we kind of started meeting with each other, the four of us. I loved actually the first evening when we met, and I talked with Jonathan about it in the previous podcast. It was super fun, and for me, it actually started where Dea said, like, I met Alexandra, you have to meet her, and Jonathan, and we have to go for a drink. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's see who these people are. Let's meet them, And she was like, oh, you'll like them immediately. You'll vibe with Jonathan. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I like people like that. And we met up, and it really kind of clicked. I really felt like that in a very short period of time, we kind of connected on a lot of topics. And how did you perceive it from the first start? Like, I felt like it was like from the movies, like the beginning of a great friendship.
I completely agree. I think like with Dea and I and how we've connected, even like I remember we worked together, right? So, but also we were like friends. So I think having that type of relationship with people is so nice, because you get on a deeper level. And when we met all together as a group, I know we were talking about video games, because again, we clicked on other ways and other things, gamification, etc.
Just to interrupt there for a second, I didn't expect that. That's one of the things that surprised me. I was like, really? And then I was like, yeah, Alexandra's into video games. And I'm like,
yeah, no, it's COVID was another again, balancing the time of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think our group and just that like-mindedness and just seeing that we connected on various different things, and also the mindset. We all believe that, you know, our potential in our mindset and what we can do in that personal development. I think when you connect with people who have that same philosophy and same beliefs, it's a different type of energy that's also in the room. It's sort of almost hard to explain, because I'm just like, you're just feeling like these good vibes. This is ultimately good vibes, because the people around you, they know how to raise their vibrancy and their energy. And then with that being said, if that person's energy is high, then you, like, this magnetic sort of force of just positive energy, it's raised the roof. So yeah, good vibes.
Let's talk about that, because I feel that that's one of kind of the main aims with this podcast, to kind of share useful ideas with people, and people that kind of have that mindset of, all right, I need to improve myself. Like, I'm not perfect. I need to work on myself. I need to learn. I need to expand. And I love having people on that kind of think that way, because you can always learn something new from them. Can you give us like overview how it started from you? Where was the first time where you started like developing yourself and working on your mindset and everything that you're doing in life?
Yeah, I think there is points looking back now, I can recognize where I've really put myself out of my comfort zone. And I think that was the first step of personal development for me. And it sort of began, like, originally, I'm a primary school teacher. That was my first profession. That was my first passion. Now you can have many passions, and that's just about exploring things. But if you don't go out of your comfort zone, first and foremost, you may not know what you like on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we have this fear, and we say, oh no, I don't want to do that, or no, whatever, you stop yourself. You are limiting your possibilities of finding something new that you love and enjoy. And so when I left Canada 5 years ago now, I moved to Germany. And that, again, I think was my first sort of step of recognizing I'm so much more than, I don't have to be in Toronto to have a career and have a profession, and I can travel and explore and learn new cultures. And I think personal development comes from also being open-minded to obtaining new information, to obtaining new cultures. I obtained a new language. My German is not the best, but I tried.
It's hard.
But I think it's one of those things where you start with recognizing that you have so much potential, and recognizing that you have this amazing life that you can live out to the fullest, and having that recognition and just awareness of the choices that you make every day will lead into ultimately what you want. So when I moved then to Germany, and I was doing this job that I thought I loved, which I did, and I would always just try and connect with people who were like-minded. So at the point then, I was, again, a whole bunch of other expat teachers. Again, some of them would be, their partners would be into financial freedom or money or different things. So this type of conversation would start coming up. So again, I would try and just connect with those people that sort of entice me to also push myself and challenge me a little bit. And I loved learning more about money, because again, that was not something that my family taught me about. And we sort of just went from, I had a single mom, and our just basic apartment for the small family of us. But it was one of those things where you had the paycheck comes in and goes out, and saving wasn't a thing. And it was just sort of going with when the money came in, it would go out. But now I've grown so much to appreciate the way that money comes in, and knowing that money is all around us constantly. It's constantly flowing. And knowing that you have the ability to say, okay, this is the type of lifestyle I want. If I want financial freedom, there is a way to achieve that. And connecting with individuals that sort of spark that imagination, or spark that drive, or ignite this fire. Garyvee, for example, was a podcast that I listened to that really sparked that entrepreneur fire in me. And Jenna Kutcher is another podcast that I love, because she's this female entrepreneur who, again, gives amazing value, but also she gives it on a real and authentic way. there's individuals, maybe it's not in your circle, that are igniting that fire. There are people online that you can connect with. Borna, right here. There's people here available, and I think that's one thing that I urge for people. If you feel that you're not in a circle that are filling you, that are challenging you, that are exciting you, then it's time to look outside that. It's time to go into online and type in, is it personal development? Is it money growth? Is it just finding, gratitude of what you do have and learning what you do want now? And people are online talking about this. So if you don't have it in your immediate circle, then look for it online. And I think look for it in books. I'm currently reading a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And Jonathan introduced me to the book. He read it a couple months ago. And he would always just stop and talk to me about it. And I said, okay, I have to read it. When you're done, I'm going to read it. And I'm addicted. It's amazing to think about the psychology of our mind and what we tell ourselves. So in personal development, when you're telling yourself, oh, I'm not smart enough, or I don't have enough education, or you bring yourself down, you are limiting yourself. And you're actually, in the end, if you're going to say to yourself all these negative things, you're never going to take the action to move forward to what you ultimately want. And that's been a huge learning lesson of, I didn't ever think that I would be running multiple businesses. That was never something that came across before, because again, my passion before was teaching and traveling, and that's what I was doing, and I loved it. But then I also met Jonathan, who inspired this creativity and said, hey, just come on over to Ireland and run a business with me. And I'm like, I've never done that before. But the reality is, if you don't go out of your comfort zone and try it, you will never know if you can achieve it or not. And that for me was really one of the biggest things ever, was just going out of my comfort zone and trying something new and realizing I am more than capable of doing it and doing it successfully. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Especially the part of doing it as an experiment, maybe trying out new things. I feel that a lot of ideas that are presented to us kind of feel strange at the start because we're just not used to it, and we never came across it, right? For instance, we chatted a little bit about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before. If you told me 10 years ago that I would do it and I would love it, I would laugh at you, because I really wasn't. Yeah. And so people have the capacity to change, and it takes some time to expose yourself to ideas before you really kind of internalize them and start using them in practice. But I feel that there's great value in trying out new things, going out of your comfort zone and working on yourself. If it's just strange things and stupid things and just doing it for the heck of it, I don't think that there's that much value in it. It's still useful because you kind of learn something new, experience something new, and maybe have some fun along the way. But if you do it aimed at something, then you get exponentially better results. And I think that's just a great thing. I've been trying to implement that with everything that I do. And it's not easy all the time. I feel that it gets easier the more you do it, of course, right? It's like riding a bike. At first you fall and you quit, and then you have to get back on it and fall again and then do it. But with time, I feel like it really gets easier. Now picking up a book and reading about psychology seems so much easier than it would 10 years ago, right? When you were oh, I'm learning about psychology in school, oh, it's forced on you, you kind of have to do it, and it was kind of oh no, I don't want to do it, right? But then at one point, I know that for me, it clicked during exactly a psychology class where a teacher said something yeah, people actually can change them and change their minds and change themselves and their character and characteristics and a lot of stuff about them. And I know I was mind blown. I was wow, why did it never occur to me? Because up until then I had the fixed mindset of okay, you're like this, I'm like that, he's like that, the mean kid in school, he's just mean, right? And there's nothing to do about that, right? The nice person is nice, you can hang, and after that I kind of changed my perspective. And I know I met a friend in college who's really into psychology. He was reading Tony Robbins and a lot of these self-development books, and he was yeah, dude, just start, pick anything from Tony Robbins and just start reading it, right? And then I was having tough time reading it because I didn't like to read at that point. So he was like, Tony Robbins has some audiobooks, just download one of his audiobooks or programs and just listen to that. And I was like, all right, cool. And I listened to it while I was walking to, I don't know, school or some class or something, right? And I know that with time, like at the start, it was sounding nice, but after a while, it really kind of got me going. I was like, all right, now I understand why this is so valuable. And I feel that so people kind of miss that point and don't have anything like that in their lives, and they're going through their day-to-day routine, and they kind of get stuck into that hamster wheel, and they're not getting out of it, and they're just like repeating the same thing over and over. So I feel that working on yourself through self-development techniques, books, audiobooks, podcasts, I feel that's one of the easiest way to kind of break out and kind of change your life and move forward, and eventually coming to stuff like having multiple companies like yourself. Tell us a little bit more about that. I really want to know, like, what's the Digital Ripple, what's the agency about, what are you doing there, and what's kind of aim with that one?
Absolutely. So the Digital Ripple, I started it in November last year, and it sort of started from when I moved to Killarney. We needed a website. We needed a website for our new eco-friendly business. It was a traditional Irish B&B that was run by Jonathan's parents. And when we took over, we wanted to implement this eco-friendly components and ethos, but we needed to make our customers aware of this. So having an online presence, meaning a social media page, Facebook page, our website, and that's sort of where it became that I started self-taught, teaching myself how to design websites. So I began designing my first website for the Sleeve Blue Manor in Killarney, and then I started giving my services to other small businesses. And I started doing free pro bono websites and helping people grow their Instagram and their online presence with, again, using platforms like Squarespace or Wix, and now developing on WordPress. But starting from just seeing there's a need to have an online presence and realizing this is the way to do it. Now I started the Digital Ripple, and the reason why I called it that, it is digital marketing, but also there's a ripple effect. And I have a big love for the environment and a big love for the ocean. And so with the Ripple is that we're giving back to ocean conservation. Through every partnership that we work with, we are donating to coral farming. Currently is one of our goals. And it was, we made a collaboration in Mauritius where we went scuba diving to this 10 meters deep. And they're currently building a coral farm below where they're replanting fragments from the University of Mauritius into the sea, and they are letting them grow. So it's like gardening underwater. It was a really, really cool experience. And it was honestly one of these biggest goals of mine that it's only the beginning of that journey for me and for the company that we'll be donating towards coral farming. And Mauritius is just one country that we're working in presently, because again, we are a startup and we can only start so far, but this is one component of where we want to start. And also they had a recent oil spill too, which was all over the news. So this is something that we're donating towards too. And so with that being said, there's more than just a digital component though. There's also a digital responsibility. I'm learning so much more about in this tech world that there is so much of an energy consumption that websites and internet has on our CO2. And it's crazy to think about the emissions that we're outputting just on a website. So another component and responsibility that I feel that we have as a digital agency is being aware that we're using green energy. So I'm so thankful to say and blessed to say that we made a choice to have completely renewable energy that's powering this call, this stream, these lights that are on right now. And this is something that I want businesses to know that I'm advocating for, that my audience knows that I'm advocating for, and that we all have a place to make a choice to help our environment. And it's the smallest things. It's calling up your hydro company. I say hydro, it's Canadian, but your electricity company, and just calling them and saying, I'd like to switch over to a more renewable source. Is it wind powered? Where is your energy source coming from?
Yeah.
So these are small things that starting out that I'm very excited and thrilled to be a part of. I think if I'm going to start anything and being a leader, or advocate for it, I need to also represent those things for my business and my philosophy and my ethos. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about the Digital Ripple. We're currently working with a variety of different businesses, we have a company in Germany that we're connected with, that we're working with on their social media platform, which has been a phenomenal experience. It's just great to know that in the digital world, you can connect with anybody around the world, you can serve anybody around the world. And that's another thing what I love about it, is that it is remote, and that you have a chance to make those connections again from anywhere, thankfully for our technology and what it can do, but you can really build that rapport and make meaningful relationships and partnerships, etc. So our partnerships vary from around in Germany and to also here in Kerry too. So it's been a very exciting journey, starting the Digital Ripple, and then helping businesses just build their online presence and letting them know that we're doing it in a green and an environmental way.
Awesome. I love it. And I also love the fact that you're giving back and taking care of the nature while you're doing it. I think more businesses should jump on that. If you're listening to the Uncle Gold podcast, we also love nature. So please, guys, start moving your businesses towards that idea. All right. Before we go into the topic of social media, which we kind of touched on before, tell us, where can people find you? We mentioned Instagram already. If somebody wants to reach out to you, where are you most easy to be found online?
Absolutely. So for my personal page, it's Alexandra Božić. And then for the official Kerry App, it's the official Kerry App on Instagram there. So Instagram would be the main thing. I am on Twitter too, but you'll mainly find me on Instagram.
All right. We'll leave the links below for everyone watching this on the YouTube channel. For everybody listening on the Uncle Gold podcast, just go to Instagram and type in the official Kerry app. So now it changes from the official Killarney app to the official Kerry app. All right. Perfect. Tell me, Alexandra, we chatted about and mentioned Garyvee earlier. For everybody who doesn't know Gary, what's the whole deal about? Why is Gary so popular? And why are so many people jumping on social media?
Garyvee, he is iconic now. He's made a reputation for himself. And I think many people started off with finding him arrogant. These are not my words, these are someone else's. But these are just his way of communicating with people. He's very straightforward. And I think personally that's what I like about him.
Yeah.
I like that he is very straight to the point. He's clear, he's authentic, he is genuine, that he is there for the businesses to get an online presence and how to do so. And why is it so important? Because we are in this world. And if you have not gotten on that bandwagon, it's time to get on that bandwagon. But there's also, I'm going to just lead in a little bit of the social dilemma. If you watch that Netflix episode, a series or documentary, I recommend to watch it, because we do now, with the billions of people online and online social media, Garyvee has a responsibility. He has a responsibility that what he's giving and promoting online, he's influencing people's movements. He's influencing people's actions. And I think for any influencer, for anyone using social media, knowing that you have such a huge power of the message that you put across, how you're going to show up to the world and show up to your audience, people are watching. And for the younger generations who are coming online, they are comparing themselves. They are, and we need to find this balance of a healthy relationship with social media as well. And so I think with the way Garyvee does it is he's very authentic. And when it comes to, again, like we talked about, he reads the comments and he's making sure that what he's giving valuable information that the audience is asking for. Mm-hmm. And this is important because then you can really relay the message of, okay, is it mental health that we're talking about? What are the types of conversations that are going on? Is it, jobs or economy, or who knows what the case may be, but it depends on the conversation the audience is having. And I think being that caliber where he's at, he has a big influence. And many people do when they start going on. It doesn't matter if you have 100 followers, those are still people you're influencing. And it's so important that we don't compare ourselves to bigger accounts, because whatever number of followers they may have, it's really your audience is there, and what you give to them, it should be meaningful and should have purpose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree on that one. Did you jump on the social media bandwagon right away? Like, were you using it before you met Garyvee and using it for yourself a lot, or how did it start for you?
To be honest, I wasn't really on it. I was on Facebook to stay connected, especially because I was traveling so much and I love to document. I did have an Instagram page as well, but again, I wasn't really that active on it. I think only when I started running a business is when I realized, wow, there's so much potential. And for me, I use it as a tool. I try not to, for my personal life, of course, I do use it too in terms of maybe acquiring new knowledge, but I'm also very specific of what type of information I want to absorb, because you know, your body is your vessel, and whatever type of information you give to it, it can hinder it. So I'm very conscientious of what information I am obtaining. And in terms of my own followers, it's only people that I see going to be, you know, lifting my spirits or giving me information that I value and I care about. And of course, I have my family or friends that I'm connected with. But again, yeah, I see social media for myself as a tool that I want to utilize. And I try to be very mindful of my hours spent on it. And I think that's another big thing, and why I would highly recommend watching The Social Dilemma. If you are anywhere form connected to digital media, if you're an influencer online in any way or form, do watch The Social Dilemma, because it just gives you a greater understanding that we are giving our information to these big companies, Google, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and you are the person responsible of what information you want to give. And there's this balance that as a business, we need to be, of course, we use as a tool, but I think as your personal life, we also have a choice of how much information we want to give and how much information we want to absorb. So, yeah.
Are you afraid that our information is being exploited, or do you not care about it? Because Gary's point of view is kind of indifferent towards it. He shares everything except information about his family, so he kind of balances it well. Like, you can't find pictures of his wife or his kids, but he basically documents his whole day and tries to give out useful information to people. I kind of like that approach. Like, I feel that there are some things that we should keep personal, you know, like, for instance, I never show my windows here or where my apartment is and stuff like that. I feel that people should be smart about it. But I also feel that a lot of people have a lot of things to share and to say, and that some things should be said, you know, like, if, as you said, you want to watch out what you're filling your mind with. If a lot of kids are spending time on it, they'll be watching anyway. So it's better to share something positive or useful than something negative. For my own use, like, I never post anything negative, probably. Like, I don't remember posting anything negative about anything at all. Like, maybe about COVID being dissatisfied with the lockdown or something. But other than that, I try to put it out things that be either useful to people or motivational or at least funny and positive, you know, just so when somebody stumbles upon it, they're like, oh yeah, look, this is cool, this is useful, you know.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the whole privacy and sharing?
It's one of those things where we were so, again, technology came to us and it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so connected and I can do this and this. But these machines are way vast and larger than our even capacity emotionally as well. So for a younger generation, I know when the time comes, we'll have children, etc. And the children come, they're not touching social media until they're 16, because they can't mentally comprehend the things that are going on, the emotions that it takes to see yourself, and then you start comparing yourself. And this digital world is amazing, but it's also, there needs to be some balance in terms of what we put out there. Mm-hmm. And I think with your privacy, it's your choice. And the choice is that we may be we're not exposed to how much information they really do have. And when someone who just picks up their phone and says, you go onto any website now, and it's just like, oh, we're collecting cookies. And you're like, wait, what are the cookies? Like, what does that mean? But I don't think people have an understanding that when you give consent and when you download any application onto your phone and it says, do I have access to all of your photos? Are you sure you want to give that access based on just downloading whatever basic app you're downloading or whatever app? Maybe it is functional and you do want it and need it, but is it really worth giving access to your personal photos? Now, again, it's the choice of the person. What type of information do you want to give? But I think having that information and education, that Google is keeping that information. Google is actually profiting on this information. And a lot of companies that are data collective, they are collecting our data, and they're collecting and building these avatars of each of us. You know, if you think about Tinder, for example, Tinder, there was a talk about how there's, I forgot how many pages of data, but anyways, they would recognize how many swipes, and they would also recognize your loneliest time, the time that you're searching for comfort, the time that you're searching for connection. They are recognizing, oh, okay, this individual 20 to 35 is swiping on Tinder at this particular time, you know. And I think when you understand a deeper psychological reason of, wow, they're collecting this information, it's my personal information, do you really want to give it? And I think having that understanding first, and I think if businesses and those big tech companies that are collecting our data were a little bit more open about, hey, we use your data for this, and hey, this is where your data is going, and hey, you know, what happened with Facebook and the States, I'm not even gonna go in the conversation, but it's like, we have a choice, but I think also the tech industries have a ability of telling the people how are they using that information, because that I don't think is clear enough.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Spot on. All right. Thank you for sharing that information. We're done with the first half, so we're going to go on a short break here. And we're back from the small ad break there. Thank you for the sponsors of the Uncle Gold podcast. We're here with Alexandra Božić, and we're talking about how to improve our lives, starting businesses. And Alexandra, we're going straight into the next topic. I love your positivity and your energy. I feel that comes through doing things right. Can you tell us a little bit about your daily routine and how do you keep your energy up? Where do you spend your time with? How do you focus your attention throughout the day?
Starts with gratitude, first and foremost. Even before I get out of bed, I am making sure that I'm waking up and I'm finding gratitude. Maybe I didn't sleep the best or whatever the case may be. I'm always choosing to wake up and just think, okay, wow, I'm so grateful for the roof over my head. Wow, I'm so grateful for this amazing day ahead of me. And I'm waking up happy, and choosing to wake up happy and choosing to find so many things to be thankful for, that changes my mood instantly. Absolutely instantly. Another thing that I just avoid completely as much as I can is my phone. If I don't have to touch my phone in the morning, I will not touch my phone. So I try to avoid it for at least an hour in the morning, and waking up, then knowing that I'm waking up with a good energy, I'm positive, I'm happy, I'm thankful, I start moving my body. That's the next thing. I'm big on stretches and yoga, and because I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 4 times a week, my body is sore and it needs recovery. So I am doing mobility movements in the morning, maybe just stretching or yoga, like I said, and drinking loads of water. This is like my water bottle that is like a 1.5 liters, and it is my one water bottle that I use, and I love it because for one, it's one bottle for life. It's one of those things that you invest in a proper water bottle, and you don't need to buy any plastic ones anymore at all. Anyways, so again, drinking loads of water is so key. So starting my morning, positivity, moving it, and then fueling it with good things. So water, tea in the morning, and then setting out, I like to make a list of what I need to accomplish. Being an entrepreneur, you're working 7 days a week. I don't have the weekends off, and I'm okay with that. This is a choice that I made. Now, let's say I don't work every day of the week. I do find myself working every day of the week, but again, it's a choice that I make. And I think again, being anyone in your routine of what you want to do that day, you have the choice of saying, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to move my body, or I'm going to wake up and drink coffee right away. It's these habits that you have to start changing and implementing that are ultimately going to bring you joy and bring you happiness, and I don't know, make you just feel a lot better, make you feel good. And so I'm doing things that I know are going to make me feel good and make me move forward into where I want to go. And so with moving my body right, feeling it right, usually I intermittent fast. So I sometimes won't have breakfast until about 11, or it's actually not breakfast anymore, it'll be brunch, which I love. So sometimes I'll have brunch, then around 12, I'll break my fast, and then I'll be fueling myself with, again, really good food. Having Crohn's disease, this is also something, is a hidden illness that I do have, and I'm not in any way ashamed of it. But it's part of me, so I'm very mindful of the food that I do put into my body, that I am taking care of myself. And I think this is important for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have an illness or not, you should be fueling yourself with the right things. So giving yourself the right food, and like I said, just starting out with that intent that the day there's so many amazing things for you, and so many things to be thankful for. So the next thing then, I guess, from fueling myself, again, I have my list of things to accomplish that day, and it varies depending on if I have client work, or if I am having a meeting, or if I'm just doing content creation. So it all will depend. And then I like to switch off. I try to switch off from being online from around 5 p.m. unless I have certain things that I have to do in the evening. Maybe there's a planned post, or a video that I have to put up at a certain time difference for different clients. I also have to be mindful of this too. But I like to switch off and then read or go for a walk with my furry friend and Jonathan. And and sleep. Sleep is so important. 100%. If you're not sleeping well, then your day is you're not recharged. You need to get your sleep. This is probably my number one thing, is sleep is so important with gratitude. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I try to do most of these things. Been holding back on yoga a little bit. Started doing more trainings.
Yoga's good for you with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I commented that to Dea the other day. After the first jiu-jitsu class, I was like, we need to start doing yoga again. She's like, all right, cool. I feel that I'm sitting too much during the day because of working from home and then working on the YouTube channel and the podcast and everything. In the evenings, I feel that I'm sitting too much and I should stretch more, like work out more and stuff like that. So I love today's class because we had like a really long stretching session, and it felt really good. Like I feel that human bodies are designed to move a lot more than we actually use them, which we definitely have to work on. But hey, we're in the situation where we are now, with all the lockdown and everything. I think it's best to just go for walks and stuff like that. I think that nature has a really great effect on me 100%. Personally.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a huge, there's so much healing properties in nature. I also find it the best place to practice my affirmations, as well as just, replaying all these positive images and speaking it aloud, and letting the universe take it to where it needs to go, and sort of placing my order, shall I say, with the universe, that I have this belief or goals or ambitions that I know will come to fruition as long as I'm taking actionable steps towards it. But I know being out in nature is a huge healing property that, again, comes into in hand, that we have to respect it as well, that, we go out and heal from it, but we need to get back to it too.
Yeah, I agree. That's also why you started donating to the coral reefs. Yeah, I think that's amazing. I read that they supply so much oxygen to like the ozone layer and the whole world, basically, and they're super vital for the balance between other species and fish and all of that. So
absolutely. We know our trees are the oxygen of the land, but the coral is the oxygen of the ocean. They're the whole different type of lungs that are supporting the ozone layer, are so many things that climate change, unfortunately, I have to say, I know is still, people are making movements and making efforts, but I have to say COVID has sort of pushed it aside, understandably, because it become really adamant. This is the situation that we have, where a thing that I thought about from a podcast I listened to was, what if Google Maps gave you a visual, like when we're navigating Google Maps, we can see exactly where we're going. But what if on Google Maps, they use their power to actually show you 5 to 10 years down the line what flood levels would look like in your specific area? Because we have this information, we have this scientific information showing us that we know certain cities in the States are going to be underwater, but we don't see it yet, and so it's not a concern yet. And that's the problem with us, that we humans are not looking, so not all of us, some of us are looking forward in the future, but not all of us are really aware that our street eventually can be flooded. And if Google used their power to say, hey, just so you guys know, this is what's happening with climate change, just 5 years down the line, here's what the water levels would look like. This is power that tech could do. Even thinking about Amazon, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant about it, because Amazon has the opportunity to also show us the local suppliers. When we're ordering something online, instead of us getting it from China, it could be, hey, here's your local suppliers who have the exact same product that you're searching for, and it's still in Europe. You know, that we're supporting the local economy, and we're also lowering the emissions that it's coming to us. And if this was clear and available for the customer, then maybe they would make these greener choices.
Sure.
Instead of just ordering it from China and saying, oh, okay, I'm wearing something that's from, you know, whatever the case may be. And there's so many other options available. But if the tech businesses use their tech responsibility and to advocate and to share that message, we still have a bit of ways to get to everybody.
Yeah, I like that one. Like maybe putting a sticker there saying like, this is a green company, or like, I don't know, like green, blue, red, you know, like, and being like blue, that's a local company that's close to you. That would be a really cool thing. Yeah, I'm sure that people will click more on stuff like that. I feel that a lot more people are jumping on that train of like following good practices in business. Yes. And there's a lot of people in business see that, and then they're like, all right, I want to get the edge in business. I want to make my business more competitive. And then they, even though they might not care about nature that much, they kind of do it just so they're like, all right, my company is keeping up, you know, like get competitive about it.
Greenwashing is used.
Yeah. So I feel that's also a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I agree to a certain, there is, if you're then selling it, then saying we're a green business, sure, but are you actually a green business? Now, that's the only thing for me, is put it on a piece of paper and display it online, whatever the case may be, but are you actually following the principles that go hand in hand with it? That's all I ask for businesses who are advocating and saying that we are a green business in any way or form. There's so many things that we all can be doing to ensuring that we are not only saying it, but we're taking actionable steps with it too. So yeah,
I agree. I feel that most businesses just focus on money, and they have this like quarterly, all right, this is the target that we have to hit, this is the amount of money that we need to make, and these are the results that we want to achieve while doing that, and then everything else comes fourth or fifth or even later down the line. What role does money play in your life? How do you approach it? And do you have like some thoughts on how people listening to the podcast can maybe improve their financial situation?
Yeah. As I said before, my money education was very slim. It was not something that we talked about in the household. It was something that paid the bills, gave us food, and that was it. Saving wasn't really a conversation. And I have to admit, I only really took in consideration of financial freedom and saving for things that I wanted and investments until I met Jonathan, because he sparked this conversation in me that I wasn't really aware of. And I also had so many money blocks. Like I was thinking, oh, I was a teacher and I was making a decent salary, and I thought that was enough, which, to be honest, can be for you if that's what you want. Now, when you start thinking about all the possibilities and saying, I want to give back. I have a desire to give back. So with that desire to give back, I also need to earn more money. And the money is going to allow me then to give back. So the more that I can earn, the bigger impact I can have. And I think this is how I look at money, in a sense where, yes, it's a blessing to have this financial freedom and to buy the things and experiences that you want. But if you can ultimately use it also to empower other people, to give back, to serve, then that is ultimately the best way that I see money can be used. Now, money for me, again, is, I like to say it as it's constantly flowing, it's coming in, it's going out, and I accept that. And I think when looking at money, money should not be a hindrance, money should not be in any way a negative thing, but it's a way that we can use it positively, and it should be still taught about. And even from the basics of saving and paying off your debt. I paid off my student loan at 28. And for a lot of people I know who are in their 30s and in Canada or America, they still have debt. And it's a huge thing to be living with this constant paycheck that you have to pay out. So I urge people to really be responsible with getting that debt clear, working towards making that, looking at your income and saying, okay, what can I allocate every month towards putting down my debt? And that's the first and foremost thing of anything, realistically, when it comes to growing your investment portfolio, is also paying down what you owe. So getting that blank slate. And to be honest, it's a huge weight lifted off you as well when you can say, I paid off my student loans, I paid off whatever debt I may have now, and then moving forward onto the next step. And what Jonathan and I, we have big goals for property investments, and this takes then, envisioning us investing in property is something that we acquire as a very big asset, and that will allow us to expand and have the financial freedom that we do desire. Now, again, this is us believing that money will help us to grow and give back, and also have the financial freedom that we do want. And this is something that we're going to work at. So we are very mindful of our financial spending. We talk about our expenses together as a couple. We are open about our income, his income, my income. We run a business together. So one income from this, we talk about our separate incomes from our other businesses. And I think it's important that whatever relationship that you're in your family, you are communicating about money. It shouldn't be a conversation that is taboo, that you shouldn't be talking about. It should be something that you openly talk about, because we all need to use it. Yep. We all need to, you get your money to do things and have experiences and eat and have shelter and clothes. So talking about it first and foremost, and just understanding, asking questions, even if you don't know, is so important. And there shouldn't be a silly question about money. In the end, like we're all still learning about different things, and things are changing with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and there's so many things to be aware of. But it's understanding, this is the money coming in, where do I want to put it, how do I want to save, how am I going to invest in myself. So something that myself and Jonathan do is we really look at our income as a whole. We then break it down into our personal, our wants and desires, our business investments, and we look at it, okay, I'm going to put 10% here, going to put 20% here, and really breaking those down into small little bits, because that allows you then to see growth and to see opportunities, and to really say, okay, I've invested 10,000 into personal development this year. And that was huge, because that 10,000 euro investment allowed me to make 6 figures on my business. For example, like there's certain things that we can then say that, wow, that investment allowed this to happen. So breaking out Where's the income coming in? What do you ultimately want? Are you saving for a house? Are you saving for a car? Are you saving for travel? Are you saving for an investment of properties that will allow you to have a second income because you're renting it out? You know, so there's so many ways to use money that is going to be a tool for you, that you're going to take it and you're going to give it. You're going to see it all around you, and it's not going to be a hindrance. It's a blessing. And so looking at it in a positive way and asking the right questions and getting those resources and learning the right way to use it, because it is something to use and to really find that it can be, it's an abundance source that is there and it's always coming to you and flowing to you pretty much. So you just have to find ways to grab onto it, and also know your value. And when you are giving a service, and you're selling a service or providing anything, that you recognize the value of what you're providing, that you are charging the right thing that you're worth.
Yeah, I agree on that one. You touched on so many valuable points there. So working on your money would be one of the bigger ones. Investing actually time into sorting everything into groups and planning out how you're going to do it, what you're going to do with your money. Yeah. That's a big one. I feel like a lot of people just go from paycheck to paycheck and either impulse buying or just struggling with the bills, and that's it. You said another big point there about investing in yourself. I think that's one that's really underused in the world. Like, people don't invest in themselves. I remember the first time when I bought a book from my own money. It felt like, oh, why am I doing, like, so hard. And now I'm like, all right, investing in a book is like the best investment you can basically make, right? Because first you learn something new, you expand, like, it's like the value is astronomical. And investing more time into like focusing on it and planning goals. Those are some of the stronger self-development elements that actually a lot of these self-development teachers and practitioners basically tell people to do on a daily basis. And implementing that into money is not easy, because I feel that as we said at the start of this podcast, not everybody had the rich uncle goal that told them how to do it in life. I feel that schools are also doing a bad job, and I want you to comment on that one. I feel that schools are doing a bad job on teaching kids anything about money, not just basics, but nothing at all. 100%. They're like memorize this, do that, calculate that, and then like off you go. You're done with school now. Hey, it's up to you, right? I feel that schools should add something, at least 2 courses. I would say 3. One would be human interaction, something where we learn interpersonal skills, maybe even sales a little bit, but I would do more like conversational, like when you go to like a seminar or a conference like that, and then you have this speed meeting round where you have like 20 people and you need to meet all of them in like 5 minutes, and you have like 30 seconds to introduce yourself and be like, hi, I'm Borna, I do this. And the funny thing that happens on the 20th person, your story is a lot different than on the first person, and you learn actually so much through meeting people like that, and it helps people communicating and actually opening up, and there's a lot of benefits to it. But that's one of the courses that I would add to schools. The second one would be about money, definitely, because like I feel that so many people struggle just because, as you said, like it should be an open topic. Like people should talk more about it. I know that basically anybody that I talk to, like, usually you go for a coffee or something like that and you start talking to them, they would evade the topic. They would be like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu move to remove you from there. And you're like, but hey, I'm just asking, like, and they're like, no, how's the weather?
It's so like, it's really awkward to be like, and how much are you paying for that? Or it's almost, you have to ask permission. Yeah. You don't want to make that person feel uncomfortable that you're asking about how much they're earning or selling this product for. But to be honest, there's no way or form should it be looking at as a competition of, how much money do you have? It's just about a question about money. And I 100% agree with you about the education factor, and being a teacher prior 5 years ago and being in that world of seeing students go through this curriculum that was designed for them And in no way or form, yeah, we have our mathematics, and yes, we talk about math and different things, but it was never really about money and how to utilize it to your best interest. And that is 100% something that they should have in college, in elementary school, in high school. There's different components of money and just general knowledge of how to use it when it comes into your life, where to put it, how to really make the best out of it. And yeah, it's lacking in the education system. I think there are some new implements, and I think teachers take that responsibility to make the lessons fun. As a primary school teacher, I was working with children who were 4 to 12, and teaching math. It was so book oriented, and now thinking about it, wow, what a boring class I was teaching, where it could have been so much more fun and entertaining, and saying, hey, you guys have 50 euros. What are you going to do with it? You know, like making it real time and realistic, instead of saying, here's a graph that you have
teaching the kids to buy Bitcoin, being like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And playing with money in a fun way, playing Monopoly, buying properties, like that's a really good way to learn about money as well. Like I love board games growing up, Monopoly being one of them. And again, you learn in a fun way of understanding money and being who gets to be the banker and one of those things. But I remember also being younger and having a limiting belief and saying, oh, I'm not good at math, that I suck at math. And I would then hinder myself from being the banker or from taking on those extra math problems because I felt like I couldn't handle them, when realistically I very well could have. And I'm dealing with numbers all the time with my clients and different things. And it's one of those things that you can do. It's just a matter of having that confidence and learning about it.
Yeah. I feel that people who are struggling with money should actually work on opening up more about it. I feel that we have like a negative stigma attached to people who kind of don't have money, and then when they're asking, they come off as needy or greedy, or and basically people should learn how to not just ask for money, but just talk about it. And there are a lot of like simple tricks that you can do to kind of like make it easier for yourself. I read this great book. It's called The Automatic Millionaire. And the guy, I can't remember the author. I'll link it down in the comments. But he talked about like, as soon as you get the money, people get the urge like, all right, where am I going to spend it? And he says to kind of prevent yourself from that, you should automate that the bank takes a percentage that goes to your savings as soon as you get the paycheck. So kind of before getting the money, you kind of tax yourself. He's like, pay yourself first principle, right? Because what we tend to do is like, we pay the bills, we then buy food and everything for the house, and then go for a bit for shopping or for gas or, like stuff like that. And then at the end of the month, you have just a little bit left, and you're like, all right, I'm going to spend all of it just to kind of like make me a little bit happy, And then you end up with having nothing. Well, he reversed it. He's like, take the last part where you're actually pay yourself first, and direct it towards something, like a savings account for, as you said, a new house. That might be a bit long term, maybe a nice vacation. That's not too hard to gather up some money for that, right? Make a separated account for that and automate it, a certain percentage that you can afford. Tony Robbins recommends 5%. He said if you can go up to 10%, like in like 20 years, you're financially free. But this guy just said like pay yourself first. And I tried doing that, and it really works because you don't see the money. You don't have it, and you're not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy something useless, and it really works. After a few months, you just forget about it, and then it becomes the automatic part, what the book is about.
Absolutely. Having that automated system makes it so easier for you as well, that knowing, okay, this percentage goes to tax, this goes to savings, this goes to the investment, this goes to, hey, the emergency fund. I may need to have money accessible for who knows what, crisis, pandemic, anything, you know what I mean? Things can happen where we do need to have money accessible, but if you're not planning and if you're not aware, then you will come to this point where you're stressing about it. And that's not healthy either. So having that healthy relationship with money, when it comes into your account, like you said, automate it. Where is it going? And then keeping that playable amount to treat yourself afterwards is so important.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you're getting value out of this. We touched on so many useful topics. Alexandra, tell us, what are kind of your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself in like 5 years, 10 years? You mentioned that you're doing goals earlier. I want us to go into that topic a little bit, because I have a feeling that some people do make goals, they plan them out. Some people do them like really short term, but I don't see a lot of people doing like long-term goals and really getting into it. Can you tell us a little bit how it looks from your side? Where do you see yourself, and how are you planning for the future?
Absolutely. I think it's fun. It's honestly becomes an imagination game at the same time, with goals and dreaming of where you see your business, where you see your personal self, where you see your relationship, whatever the circumstance may be in. Now, let's say starting with the Digital Ripple, with the business that I started in November, I see myself hiring 2 other employees. I still find it being, my goal is for it to be a small bespoke company that we are serving businesses around the world. But again, it's a smaller niche of a group. Now, will it grow? Possibly, but for now, 5 years down the line, that's sort of what I see. Having a small group of designers and being in the digital marketing world for the Digital Ripple, that would be something I see with that company. I see is going to so many places around the world, and not only doing coral restoration by just donating, but physically going to those places and being there and volunteering.
Doing it.
I want the employees that come and work with the Digital Ripple to have this belief in giving back. And so we'll fly out to Mauritius, we'll go and volunteer, we will go and clean up the ocean, we'll go and plant trees. So this is something that I want to be a part of my work culture for our staff, and that we can look forward to these adventures, that there's a purposeful mission towards an impact that the Digital Ripple will have, and being in this group collectively, that we have this ultimate goal of, yes, we're serving our clients, but we're also giving back, and we're doing it through us going out and making these volunteer missions to support. So doing that with the Digital Ripple is something that I see happening. I already see it, I already vision it, so I've written down those goals to happen in the next 5 years to do so. Mauritius being one of them. We've already started there, but hopefully connecting with Costa Rica, hopefully, and just going out in Trinidad and Tobago, just anywhere that there is a desire for support. And also, again, Caribbean islands are really nice too. So sunshine is key.
I haven't been to any of these places, but I've seen pictures online, and I think I've done a presentation on Trinidad and Tobago in high school.
That's where I'm from, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
The place looks all right. The place looks amazing. Like, I definitely want to visit. The next time when you're doing like a coral reef restoration project, let me know. If the timing is right, we'll definitely go there.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's another thing too, is open it up to other volunteers who want to go. And you don't just have to be an employee from the Digital Ripple. You could just be a volunteer who wants to support and join us on that project. So with the Digital Ripple, that's something I see happening now in 5 years time. With Jonathan and myself in our personal investments, we want to invest in property. He may have said this in the podcast with yourself, that we have goals for property investments, having multifamily units, and renting this out just to have that passive income. We know that with property, it is a very, very valuable investment. And we know also that everyone will always need a shelter. And so if you can invest in something that will give you a profitable return, in property is definitely one of them. So this is 5 to 10 years down the line. To be honest, we have we're lucky to say that we have land that we can build on. So we're hoping to do that sooner than later. So that should be happening in the next couple of years. And then investing out into Dublin or Cork, starting in Ireland, again, would be the next sort of 5 to 10 year goal.
Awesome.
With more personal goals too, I think it's so important to have your business goals and to have your your personal goals too. So I want to have, being an expat and living abroad, and living in Ireland, it's a bit rainy. It's not as sunny as I would have hoped to be. And I guess, yeah, you know what, it comes with the package. But I'm so blessed to say that I have this job, and I'm in a profession where I can remotely relocate myself and still do my service to the people that I need to. So we see ourselves actually buying a property abroad, may it be in Portugal, may it be in Costa Rica. It's going to be somewhere where there's sunshine, and having 2 homes. Thankfully, I can say I have 3, with Canada being one of them too, but having Ireland as our base and having our second home as our sort of our getaway home, but also a home that we do work in, we explore in, and we, again, just soak up that lifestyle that we want and that financial freedom. So we'll be investing in a home down the line as well. Sorry.
No worries. Have you ever been to Croatia and the coast? That we also get a lot of sunshine there, and it's really great for spending the summer.
Absolutely. I've actually, being half Slovenian, we would go over to Croatia, to the seaside, in the summer. So yeah, definitely a place I haven't been to Dubrovnik. I was more so spending time in Kirk or Split, Pag, certain places as well around. But yeah, Croatia is just stunning.
Yeah, visiting the islands is awesome. Before coming to Ireland, I spent a whole summer working on the island that gets the most sunshine throughout the year. They call it the sunny island, Hvar. And then I came to Ireland, where it's the rainy island, and everybody from my colleagues there asked me like why did you move here? But as you said, it's taking those steps that kind of move you forward. I kind of feel like I would like to go the same route that you're going with real estate and everything, and I see investing back in Croatia as one of the good moves, because the tourism there is really strong. I feel that we have like strong seasonality. For instance, in October and September, even July, like you can't find an empty spot because we get so many people. Of course, this year is an exception with COVID and everything happening, but usually after that the season stops and everything closes up until next year. So I feel that Croatia needs to work on like kind of expanding the seasonality throughout the year, not just in the peak 2 months during summer. So yeah, I would like to work on that, and I believe people can do that through creating like content and extra kind of like something that can incite people to get there even during winter, because winter is not that cold in the coast of Croatia, so there's not a lot of people there because everything's closed down and nothing to do. But if you bring more people, stuff would open up, so I feel that there's a lot of potential there, and I definitely see a lot of people not using social media, not being online, or just having like the basic like Facebook website and 20 pictures there, not engaging with anyone, or like a Instagram profile with like 50 pictures and that's it, so I feel that there's still a lot of place to improvement there, and I see a lot of business opportunities as well. I also plan stuff like that for the future. I feel like I'm not there yet, but I feel like I'm going there, and I'm glad that we can chat about topics like that, because I always, after a talk like this, I always felt like I kind of moved a little bit closer to where I'm heading, and then I always kind of, after the talk like this, I kind of go through the topics that we were talking and kind of recalibrate everything, what I'm thinking about and what my fields of interests are, and then I compare it, and I'm like, all right, she said a really good point there, I really like that, and then I try to kind of implement it a little bit into what I'm doing, and I feel this is super useful. And for everybody listening to the Uncle Gold podcast or watching on the YouTube channel, I'm sure you're getting a lot of value out of this, and we're going to keep talking about things like that. Alexandra, I learned a lot of things from you today, and I would love to have you a second time on the podcast if you would like to join us again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. It's been a pleasure. I think it's so amazing to connect with other like-minded individuals, to share your experiences, because this is how we grow. This is how we get resources. This is how, again, we move forward. And and it's really nice just to share, and it gives opportunities for entrepreneurs like myself to connect and to provide value and to help others who are on the mission of financial freedom, money, business, etc., mindset. So
yeah. And I feel like things like this are needed now more than ever, let's say it like that. Because of lockdown, a lot of people actually haven't left their house at all, and we're kind of scared to interact with people and kind of lost this touch with, like focusing on topic, because some people are oriented towards improving themselves thanks to work. But then when you're at home, you kind of don't have that, and you lose the human touch with the people. And I feel that a lot of people felt like really struck by this, and I feel like we really need to emphasize positivity more, and raising your energy and working on yourself, and even like money and goals and all of that is extremely useful, especially now.
yes, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I hope for those who have gone through 2020 and still are going through it, that they are not looking at it as a negative. They're looking at it as an opportunity. And I know it was extremely hard for a lot of people in so many ways that I still can't even fathom. But I can say that if you have really tapped into being thankful for what you do have, and you find gratitude and being just, there's so much opportunity for yourself in this time to adapt and grow. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have, it's ignited a fire in them, and it ignited change. They've had time to think and really ponder with their thoughts about, the job I'm going to, is it ultimately making me happy? And I think if you've used this time to reflect in any way or form, you've used this time productively. And when you can see, okay, there's a bigger dream or desire, the next step then is taking action.
I agree. People, you heard it here on the Uncle Gold podcast. Taking action is the key. I hope you all get inspired by the things that we discussed today and start taking more action towards improving your life. Alexandra, for the last part of the podcast, do you have some final thoughts for everybody listening? As I mentioned before, the Uncle Gold podcast is designed to kind of lift people to a new level and give them useful and cool topics to kind of think about. Do you have any parting words for the listeners?
I would like to say, be aware of, again, for your digital side, be aware of how you are using the energy. Be aware that you have a choice of what data you want to give to the world. And also be responsible, be a responsible, kind human, not only giving, but also giving to yourself too. So making sure that your bucket is full before you go out and you start anything, giving yourself grace that if you are in a transition period, that you're looking to start something new, it's not always, again, the easiest route, but it is possible, because you're not alone and there's so many resources out there for you. So I urge you to connect with those individuals who are like-minded, who have done it, grabbing those books that we spoke about or podcasts that we spoke about that really do ignite that fire, and just keep on pushing, because your goals can be achieved. And sometimes dreaming the illogical is so much more exciting than dreaming, oh yeah, I can do that. But when you push yourself out of your comfort zone and you try something completely new, there's so many opportunities that can be awaiting for you. So yeah, that's my little 2 cents.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you, Alexandra. Really great finish of the episode. I'm definitely going to take your advice, and I learned a lot, guys. I would also love to hear your feedback on what did you learn from this podcast. Like throughout these comments, we kind of find out more about what you want to talk about and what kind of topics resonated with you. So I would love to see some comments there to see which part of everything that I discussed with Alexandra today resonated with you. And Alexandra, thank you again for being on the Uncle Gold podcast. I would love to have you on again. Thanks to everyone who was here with us. We've gone for almost 2 hours, and it's been a great podcast. Yeah, guys, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
The Uncle Gold Podcast.